Okay guys, good morning. You are joining me at 5 a.m. in the morning before my trip to Adelaide. And it's time for another vlog. I thought I'd take you guys with me. So come and join me for 72 hours in Adelaide. Okay, so I have just arrived at the airport, and this time I remember my passport as well, so no stress from that point of view. So now I've got 2 hours to wait for the plane, and yeah, so just might grab a coffee, a bit of food, and then we'll go on our way to Adelaide. Okay guys, I have just landed in Adelaide, and the weather is absolutely awful. It's absolutely pissing it down out there. So hopefully it's only just for today, because the next 2 days are going to be all right. But yeah, let's get the bus to the hostel. So guys, if you want to know how gloomy Adelaide is looking right now, look at that, just grey skies. Reminds me of being back home in England. Yeah, it's rainy, a little bit cold, but you know what? Head to the hostel, try and make the most of today, come up with a bit of a plan. I was supposed to be going on a walking tour today around the city, but I'm gonna wait until tomorrow to do that because I don't want to get wet. And yeah, let's come up with an alternative plan and I'll tell you guys what I'm gonna do. Okay guys, the first visitor step is the South Australia Museum, which you can see there. So let's go in and see what it's all about. So guys, the South Australia Museum was good, but I don't think it's as big as the one in Melbourne and Canberra. So I've managed to get around it pretty quick. Had some good exhibitions, some really good indigenous sort of displays of historical items and things like that in there. They did their indigenous stuff a lot better in this museum than I think they did in other ones. So recommend visiting that one if you want to see some sort of like indigenous artifacts and just learn about indigenous culture. Okay guys, so next I'm going to the South Australian Gallery, which I think you can see there, the Gallery of South Australia. And this one was quite small actually, so I've noticed the museums and galleries here in Adelaide are a lot smaller than the ones in Melbourne, Sydney, Canberra, and maybe that's just because of the size of the city. But the useful thing is that the museum and the gallery and the migration museum are very close together, so you can get around it very easily. In some cities they're quite far apart between each of the sort of like museums and galleries, whereas this is literally all in one sort of big square. So you can get to the square and just walk around and spend at least half a day there, maybe even a day, just exploring all the galleries and museums, which is really handy. So next on the list guys is the Migration Museum, which I'll show you around now. Okay guys, that was the Migration Museum. Again, another very small museum, but really interesting. And I actually found that more interesting and better than the art gallery, because that one was talking about how Australia has been influenced by migration. And it's probably one of the countries which has been most impacted by immigration in the world, to be honest. Like, it's such a diverse country. It's probably up there with the UK and America in terms of like immigration patterns and stuff like that. There's people from all over the world, and that museum sort of gives a bit of a summary in terms of each one and each wave of migration that's come to Australia. And then it also touches on some of the sort of discriminatory laws that they had in place as well from the Australian government, and how that's slowly been pulled back. And yeah, really interesting. So if you've got time guys, definitely recommend seeing the Migration Museum too. So if you get a chance guys, also check out the Institute building, which is part of the State Library of Southern Australia. Here they've just got a few old galleries, and they show you some artifacts about the old library and how it used to be. The next museum I went to was called MOD or MOD, and that's located within the University of South Australia. This is a futuristic museum. I've never seen a museum anything like this before. So there's about 13 rooms to this museum, and every room that you go into, you have to answer a different question with a key card they give you. And at the end of the museum, you scan the final question. It tells you what sort of person you are, whether you're sort of optimistic for the future or not. And it was super interactive. As you can see here, there was a big globe in the middle of the room, and you could overlay that globe with different images. So this one, I've just changed that to air temperature over the last 50 years. You can change that to sea level rise. You can change that to, population density. Super, super cool, super interactive, and it's free. So I definitely recommend. So good morning, guys. Today is the second day in Adelaide, and thankfully the weather is far better today. So gonna get out and about outside of the museum, can actually walk on the streets now without getting wet. So I think today's gonna be a bit of a shopping day, having a look around, maybe a walk around the botanical gardens too. And then if I get a chance, I'm also gonna try and go to the beach at sunset to see the sunset on Glenelg Beach. So let's go and do that today. Beach with my ice cream. A bit chilly and windy. Oh, beautiful beach. Nicer than St Kilda's one. We've got the sun as well. There we go. A little bit cloudy, and hoping to see that sunset in about an hour's time. So here we go, sunset time. Look at that, guys. A little bit cloudy, so it's blocking the sun a little bit, but still absolutely beautiful. So I saved the hardest task till last. On day 3, I did the hike to Mount Lofty, which is the highest summit just outside of Adelaide. I met some great people in the hostel, and I managed to make them tag along with me for the hike all the way to the top. Okay guys, that was 72 hours in Adelaide, so I hope you enjoyed coming along with me. Sorry that I didn't manage to do as much filming on this one compared to the Canberra one. I was doing quite a few things with other people from the hostel as well, which is why. But I hope you got sort of a good glimpse into what my journey in Adelaide was like, and I shall see you next time. Take care guys, see you later.